Hey, what's up everyone? Sean here. Welcome to another new video. Now, something that came across my mind today when I was doing some research for a video actually was the fact that I don't remember when it happened. I had to do some research on this video for change, but it was the fact that and I knew it already happened, but I didn't know when and all that. But I thought it was a cool idea or cool thing that Google bought YouTube way back in the day, and I knew it happened. I didn't know when it happened or how it happened or why it happened, but it was an interesting thing to me because of the fact that if you are a early tech head or a techie like I am, and all I mean by that is I've been into technology for consumer stuff since like the early 2000s. And so I remember reading about and hearing about Google buying YouTube. I didn't know why it happened or anything else besides that. So I did some research on it, and it was just an interesting kind of like story to me about how that happened, and I wanted to share a little bit of that, and also just give reasons on why I think that was probably the best acquisition right now of all time for a technology standpoint. So really quickly, so I guess, and then again, I was unaware of all this stuff for the most part, like the pricing and when it happened, all that. So Google, I guess, bought YouTube as a platform in November 2006. So it's been a while. That's when I graduated high school, for $1.65 billion. Now, what's funny is that it was for a stock transaction, so no cash was actually used. And then it was actually only when YouTube was 18 months old. So YouTube was brand new, and apparently very unprofitable, like making no money. I don't know if they had any ads back then either, but they were, again, one of the most successful, platforms overall for what they were too. And another reason why I wanted to do a video on this is because not only that happened, but because if you go back, if you were alive back then, or you had any kind of eye or ear on technology from a consumer standpoint, you can probably remember that there was an old phrasing of before YouTube existed, where people would always say, like, if you didn't know something or you wanted to look something up, you'd probably tell someone to Google it, or whoever would be in the conversation would say, go Google it, because back then Google was, and still really is, but they were the main point of search. And I'm talking about before AI was ever a thing, before AI was even a glimpse of anything at all in this in the world that we are now. That if you wanted to know anything about anything, you'd Google it, because at that point in time, Google was and still is, honestly, but was the gold standard for search. And the majority of when this happened, when Google was a thing, the majority, if not all, of not only computer searching from a SEO, so search engine operation standpoint, that happened was through Google. It was just they just had a quick result. It was mostly accurate. There was other platforms out there too, like Bing and other things like that too, like Yahoo, that existed at the same as well back then. But overall, Google was the quickest, I would say, to becoming the gold standard of what search was. And so it was interesting to me when I heard about it back then, about them buying YouTube or acquiring YouTube, because again, YouTube was not anything of what it is today at all. And so I remember that being interesting too. Now, it says that, again, it was bought for $1.65 billion of, again, stock for stock transaction. And it was because, again, news to me, that YouTube was burning through cash, struggling with server space, and weathering mounting copyright infringement threats from record labels. Which is funny because if you remember back in the day when YouTube was basically an infant of a platform, and if you put anything ever on the platform that had, again, anything that was copywritten or had music that was on a label, then you'd get that copyright infringement like immediately, which you still do. But it was different back then because it would just be taken down, or there'd be copyright strikes, I think, to my knowledge, on it. So that was interesting too. But on the other hand, it says Google recognized YouTube's meteoric rise and chose to acquire its massive audience and infrastructure rather than continue trying to build its own complete competing platform, which was Google Video. Now, when I read that was a shock to me, because I didn't never know, or I didn't ever hear, maybe my ear wasn't to the wall enough to be aware of Google ever trying to build their own video platform. I don't remember that. If that was ever a thing, maybe it was always in a beta mode, or maybe it just didn't ever work out, or maybe they didn't ever actually do or utilize or launch the idea because they got YouTube instead. And so what happened from this, which is why I think it's also very interesting and cool, is because, again, this is all in 2006 so far for the actual acquisition, is that in 2007, that was the beginning, the launching platform of the YouTube Partner Program, which all of us creators now know. I don't know if we love it, but we know about it, and it's what we all aim for, is to become monetized as a small creator and get money and get paid to make videos as any kind of job or passion or whatever you want to call it. So I give major credit to Google for not only realizing that they couldn't do everything in the world on their own, and essentially buying or acquiring YouTube as a platform when it already had really at that time the platform and the ability to have video, essentially, because again back then there was no, it was a very very different world for YouTube back then. There was no shorts, obviously weren't a thing yet, like short form wasn't a thing, so it was only really really basic simple stuff that was on YouTube in the first place. It was before any creators that we all know of now were even a thing yet back then. Like some, or maybe for the most part, some of them were very, very in their very infancy as well. And so by then, and what's cool too is that it says by now, or as of when this was done, so 2024, it says the platform of YouTube has grown into a massive streaming giant, obviously generating upwards of $50 billion in combined annual advertising and subscription revenue, which is a ton of money to have that annually for one thing. So that means that YouTube Premium, advertising in general, and also all their other stuff that they have for, I'm assuming, YouTube Music as well, is all kind of packaged up within that area too. But the reason why I'm saying this is the best acquisition of all time is because I've not ever seen one, as far as an acquisition go, be any better than this, as far as like how they essentially saved YouTube. I don't know how it went with like, you know, layoffs or firing people that were already at YouTube, but taking an area that you already want to do as far as Google goes. So again, video, and having the platform for video, taking a platform that's already there, and then that's just born essentially, and struggling, taking that platform and then not paying any cash for it, from what I read, only doing stock for stock acquisition, which is again solid for what it is for a deal, from my knowledge of it, which is limited, but still it's a good idea. And then taking it, and then within a year or 12 months, within 1 year, launching the YouTube Partnership Program, which is again like still the kind of gold standard for what any online creator is trying to be a part of for videos. And I don't mean short form stuff, because that's a whole different ballgame. But long form videos for what was existing back then, creating a program that would combat not only copyright infringements for music as well. Because I remember back in the day, when anyone used any music that was on a label back then, which was everything. Because if you remember back then, it was before, or it was right around or before the whole, you know, iTunes or even Apple Music thing ever was a thing yet, for how bad it got for copyrights for a while too. Because back then you couldn't, like, even bands, like artists that were signed to a label, like even big artists, couldn't even put their music on YouTube yet, because the copyright infringement was so horrifically like strong and just crazy with how it worked, and how videos like wouldn't work at all. I don't know how else to put it, because I remember like trying to find like official music videos for bands back in that day, like time and day, and it didn't exist. It would be like fan uploaded stuff. There wasn't even live videos yet, because of the fact that like smartphones weren't good yet at all. Because again, the first smartphone, which was the iPhone that could do video, was 2007, and it didn't do video yet. So again, that's the idea behind all this crazy stuff, is that you have to dial back your memory and your knowledge of or history of tech, because of what actually existed back then. But I remember that the copyrights were insane back then for music overall, so no artists or any labels trusted YouTube at all for that. I did not know that YouTube was having such a problem with, you know, copyrights, and also having people upload their own stuff and have it be copywritten so much, and let alone that they were struggling for cash and having their servers be overloaded. Because even nowadays, I believe there's like, the last time I saw a stat for it was that there is over 500 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute worldwide, which is absolutely insane. And that was, I think, a couple years ago. So who knows what it is now with shorts being a thing and as popular as they are. But again, the reason why I want to talk about this is because no other acquisition that I know of from a company, buying a company or acquiring them, and taking the best parts of what they were there for in the first place, which again is video on the internet, and then taking them and relaunching them essentially, and making everything better, a better space overall for everyone involved, including people that use it or people that work there for the most part. I think that's just a really cool thing. And again, like most of these acquisitions that are of this size make pretty big major news for a few months or at least a few weeks when they are announced or when they happen. And I've not seen anything else really recently at all in the last 20 years or so that has been a thing. Maybe the whole Ticketmaster Live Nation acquisition, or they're combining, but that's a whole other thing by itself. But as far as tech goes, the reason why I think it's the biggest one or the best one is because it's given so many people that want, including myself, that just want to create videos, not for a job, I should say, just even for me for a side income. That's an addition to my regular income of my day job. But just things just a place where I can go on, make a video like this, talking about my passion, which I have many of, and then upload it to a system or platform for free, and then eventually have the goal to get to maybe of again being monetized. And not only that, but it's the community and the positivity for the most part that YouTube has as a platform. And not only that, but the reason why I wanted to make a video out of it too is because, again, back in the day, people would say, or the general conversation term or terminology for it was, Google it if you don't know. Google it. And nowadays, with how video based we are, like overall, we've become a very video based platform or video based kind of humankind, of where every app that we use has video as like the standard for what it is for how we view things. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts, whatever it might be, it's all video based. It's all vertical. And so I give major credit to Google and YouTube because of the fact that they have now become, again, the gold standard of entertainment. Whether it's good or bad is not the point I'm getting at, but just entertainment in video format too. And I even saw a more recent stat where that YouTube is now overtaken by a long shot Netflix on content viewership, which means that people are logging onto YouTube more than they are onto Netflix for just content. And I believe it, because even for me, like I've cut off many of my subscription based streaming platforms because I don't use them, or I use them like maybe when a new movie comes out or a new series comes out. So I have like HBO Max, and then that's about it besides YouTube Premium, because I hate having ads for one thing, but I also just love the fact that I can support other people, whether they're big or small, if they just have a passion for what they're doing, what they're creating, or just enjoy talking about like myself, and they can put a video out whenever they want to, and I can enjoy that and support them. It's just a very, very cool thing that I wouldn't say I never saw coming back in the day, but it was more of a thing where I was like, I didn't know if the technology for YouTube would ever be a thing, because again, back in 2006, before the first smartphone ever existed for an iPhone, let alone video, that there was not really, I mean, we had desktop computers, but the idea of filming on a digital camera back then, a video, and then uploading it and putting it on a platform for the whole world to see and the whole world to watch, and then eventually making money off that in some case eventually, possibly, was just never a thing I thought would be a reality. And now it's literally taught, to my knowledge at least, or what I've read, in college. Like, it's a degree. You can actually, I guess, like, take classes on becoming a YouTube creator, which is a little weird to me, honestly, as an almost 40-year-old, where I grew up as a millennial, seeing the growth and the creation and the inspiration of a lot of this tech stuff being, not there at all, to being created, to being evolving, to then being reinvented again and again and again, and then seeing all these people who are, younger and younger and younger, no shade to them at all, but just crazy how it works, by making videos of doing pretty much nothing important in many cases, but then getting a following and being recognized in public for making those videos and being thanked and all that. It's just a very, very interesting thing to watch from a distance, for one thing, but also just to be part of too. And even for me, like for myself, it's like, again, I'm not the kind of person that will ever quit my day job, and because of the fact that I like having that structure, even if I made like $1 million a month on YouTube, I don't trust I don't personally trust the internet enough to have it to think it'll be around like this format long term. And I also wanted to discuss that part of it too, because a lot of creators that their main goal is to go full time as a job, as a career on YouTube. Cool. kudos to them if they want to do that. I've never been that way because I wasn't raised that way. I have always been the kind of person where if I ever reach, because I have not yet, but if I ever reach, the monetization or the ability to make, $5,000-$10,000 a month on revenue from ads or whatever it might be on YouTube, that would just be for me a side hustle, a side income, because to me I have seen so much change in my lifetime of technology and what we use and how we use it for platforms and all that kind of stuff, and seen good companies, or whatever you want to call them, just companies in general, be created, be started, and then have their moment of popularity and then die for whatever reason. And YouTube was like that, obviously, from what I read in the beginning. And I didn't know that. So I don't trust these companies enough to ever want to quit my job, my day job, I should say, to a level to where I can hope it'll be around in 5 or 10 years. I obviously want that'd be really rad. That'd be cool if they were around. But I'm not that kind of person to trust a company enough to, or even not even that, but even the possibility of them changing their partnership rules or their compensation percentages can always happen to, and I'm really, really afraid of that too, where it's like, okay, well, what if I got to 5 million subscribers or whatever it might be, and in a billion watch hours, and I'm making plenty of money off YouTube for that, and then all of a sudden Google is like, oh, we just don't like our creators as much, or we're not getting as much ad revenue as we used to for whatever reason, so we're going to change it to like 20% and 80. I don't trust that enough to ever quit a day job. So the only thing I've ever wanted to get out of this, financially speaking, if I ever get to that point, is the hope of literally being able to buy more gear or pay for trips for my family for traveling. Everything else can come from my day job, and I'm cool with that. So I fully respect everyone's decision on what they want to do with a hopeful YouTube career, if they want to call it that, but that will never be me. And again, that's just the generation I am, how I was raised, and how I grew up, and how I just always have appreciated or only wanted to work my passion. And again, I love creating videos. I love talking about technology every day, and my other channels that I do. I will always love that, and that's one of the fun things about it as a passion. But I just don't want to go the other route with it either. So again, I'm just blown away by what YouTube has done. I recognize and I love the fact that Google saved them from perishing, essentially, and as well as kind of really, really revamped YouTube to what it's become now. Because nowadays, again, now you still have Google, I mean, it's AI, but Google for search, that's still there. But now you have a platform like YouTube where you can literally go and search for whatever you want, and for the most part, there's a good, high quality, informational, helpful video out there, or many of them, that will help you learn or be inspired by, or whatever you're looking for emotional growth out of it, or just to waste time for entertainment. It's out there on YouTube because of the fact that Google took the chance on it, let it grow, and then again now we have this insane, platform that anywhere, everyone is, you can watch whatever you want to watch on it for the most part. So I love that. I love that a lot. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the whole Google acquisition of YouTube back in the day. If you were unaware of it too, let me know as well for the type of acquisition it was. And just any comments you have about it. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and of course subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching as always, and I will see you all in the next one.